Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
The talk title today is The Gift of Change. Have you ever heard that statement, the only constant is change? You know who said it? Who? You. True. It's always new every time we say it. Heraclitus said it back in around 500 BC. So it's been around for quite some time. It's ubiquitous because we all experience it. We all know that change is always happening throughout history, throughout time, and in your own life. You know that. What is the gift of change? Well, I'll just cut to the chase. The gift of change is new life. That when we change and we allow those changes to happen through us, suddenly we experience life anew. Evolution is change. And I am a person who believes that there's a divine intelligence behind evolution. So there's this volitional energy to create change. And Darwin said that the people who really do well in evolution are the people who are the strongest or who are the most intelligent, but those who can allow those changes, adapt to those changes, and move with the evolutionary energy that's pulling us. New thought is obviously very much about change. New thought. It's about this creative process that moves through the universe, but also moves through each and every one of us. That we are inspired by some new idea, and we start cultivating that new idea, and it's birthed out into form. The other wonderful thing about new thought is that it's anchored in this truth of the absolute. Because there's a lot of change that can be chaotic all over the place. Reactive, changing, but it's when we go to the absolute presence and the change coming from that place, that change is for the highest good of all beings, and it's for our highest good, and there's a flow that gets to happen. Where I began the Bhagavad Gita 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to continue a little bit on that, and the thing that the second chapter really highlights. First of all, for those of you reading it, second chapter has got a lot in it because it's sort of a summary of the rest of the Gita. And one of the major points, probably the major point in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Song of God, a Hindu scripture, for those of you who aren't familiar, is the most important thing is this absolute eternal life. That everything the Gita is pointing to is how to connect and become, not just to know it as a separate thing, but to know it's the essence of who and what we are. That there's an absolute unchanging life that is untouched by conditions, by the relative world. In that absolute presence, it is always a peace that passes all human understanding. It is a love that has no conditions, because it loves not like we love of this world. It is peace that is not coming from this world. It is a joy that is pure bliss. It is not birthless, it is deathless, it is completely free, and it is always already right where we are. And so in New Thought, the idea is we don't just change for the sake of change, but we connect as much as we possibly can with this absolute presence and allow and hear and listen to this divine presence moving through and as us to allow new life to come through. And when I was describing what a vigil holder does, because we all have a vigil holder right now. You have your vigil holder right now. That behind our human personality and form, there is this presence that's always with you. It's the I am that's with all of us, but it's personal. Ernest Holmes talks about the impersonal and the personal, and we need both. And so it's ever presently with us all of the time, holding vigil for us throughout our life. It knows who we are. It knows everything we've ever felt, thought, and experienced, and more. When I was going into 10th grade, I was reading the book Little Woman. I was lying on my bed, just reading it. Those days where you're not checking your phone every 2 seconds, you're just reading and getting lost in the world. And I was so connected with the character of Beth. She was the quiet, shy one with her three sisters, and her three sisters, I was always comparing, like, which sister was my brother's, and I was Beth, and I felt this, I mean, it's the only time I've read a book where I've like, this is who I am, and I'm reading it, and I get to the point, y'all, we have no kids here, okay. Spoiler alert, Beth dies, but I didn't know that she died. And I was so immersed in her, I was so identified with her, I just started sobbing. It's the first book I ever really sobbed because I was so her. And I didn't expect it. I couldn't believe I was reading a book that I loved and suddenly she dies. And I was in shock and I was disoriented. And then I started wondering, well, who's Harriet? What is this name Harriet? And then as I was just sort of disoriented, the name Harriet, the letters, Harriet, just started floating in front of me. And I'm just looking at this word. And then suddenly I am up on the ceiling and I'm looking down at this body. Now, who is this I that's up on the ceiling and who is this body? The name Harriet floats over the body. And I hear the voice, this is who you are this time. And then with that awareness, I was right back in my body. There is that in us that is unchanging, that knows, so Harriet, her history, her name comes from my father's mother, who was named Harriet, who died when he was 7. All the family histories, my personality, my enneagram number, my astrological, all of that stuff is temporary. It all is part of this person, Harriet. It's part of her history. It's an integral part of this I am, but it's not my limitation. It's not the only thing that I am, and I got to see that this is who you are this time. But who I really am transcends any one personality. So right now, all of you have that same, we all have that. That was just a moment I had, it was like a portal to that experience it, but it's always there. So right now, it's right there for all of you, too, for all of us, everybody. There is a presence that knows who you are in this lifetime, but it knows you so much more than just one lifetime, and it's always there. Remember, it is always love without condition. It doesn't love like this world loves. There are no conditions. It is ever-present love. It is ever-present truth. It is ever-present intelligence. It is ever-present peace, the peace that passes all human understanding. It is ever-present pure bliss. This is the essence of who we are. And so what the Bhagavad Gita is asking, and New Thought asks, and anyone on the spiritual path is, make this an essential part of your day, and as much as we can, be more identified with that than with our human personality. Like, we have our human life, but the more we're connecting throughout our day, because everything in our day is responding to me as Harriet as a person. We all have our names and our histories and our person. So it takes work. This isn't easy stuff. You're doing work every day to know who you are beyond just your personality, your human, the way you're showing up. Meditation, prayer, spiritual community, service, all of those things. And as we go through the Bhagavad Gita, we'll talk about other ways to really get in touch with our immortal self. But to continually connect with that, because the intention, Yogananda called the intention was self-realization, but as self with a capital S. Because it is who you are. It's not something other than you, but it is other than just the small personality. It's the big self. And so everything that we do is to get in touch with this always already absolute self. Because it's solid, it's absolute, and it's pure love, it's pure joy. And every time we connect with it, you're like, why would I want to be anything other than this? It's freedom, it's light, it's everything that we call good, with no seeming opposite. No, not take out the seeming, with no opposite. So right here, do you get that right now? Are you getting that? Getting that? That this presence is right there, where you are all the time, every day, and that is the essence and truth of who you are. And then the next part of that is, for those of you who like the symbol, this ever-present essence is actually the circle on our symbol, because it's behind our physical, our human self, our energy body, our causal body. It's always there. But then what arises is that first cause, this idea of creativity. That this presence and this power has this divine idea. And this divine idea, as we can see, is vast. It creates all these galaxies and stars, and it created this Milky Way galaxy, and it created Earth. And we've heard about Artemis and all the things that they're beginning to share, but they said they couldn't experience it all because clearly they were having some spiritual awakenings while they were on this journey. But this is an extraordinary universe. This presence of I amness has created, and each and every one of us is an extraordinary universe that the I am has created as you. You are a cosmic creation. The I am of you is a cosmic creation. And so as a cosmic creation made in the image and likeness of this cosmic creation, we have this impulse, this need to create ourselves. It's creativity as the I am, but moving through me. And when we don't create, when we don't continue to allow new life to pour through us, what happens? We start to just go into pure being. There are people who just sit in meditation for their entire life and never participate in the creative process. But we're out here in the world, and if you're out in the world, we're participating in that give and take, that process that needs, it has to, because if we don't, we die. We just go into, and whatever that death looks like, but it's not this creative energy that makes up this world. So we have to feel into the creative energy that's always calling to us and calling itself forth as all of us. And one of the aspects of the creative energy is it moves into form. And once we move from the absolute into form, we're now in the realm of the relative. And once we're in the realm of the relative, I hope this isn't getting too abstract, is duality. Duality comes when we move into creation. So wherever there's one thing, we can always say there's an opposite. So now we're in the realm of duality, so where we can find an opposite. Ultimately, when we're in the vastness, we can see how it all works together. But in the creative process, so one of the opposite of the creativity is the letting go, or birth and death. Now we know there's ultimately no birth and death. And there's really no death, because death just gets recycled when we live in this absolute energy that never dies. There's no death permanent, it's a transformation into something new. And so I prefer the creation and the letting go, especially as we're participating in this world. So we're creating, but in order to continue to create, we have to let go. Are you all familiar with that process? All right, check. We got it. So we got that, we know that. And then the letting go part can be hard, and sometimes sometimes you're completely ready for it. It's like the fall. Sometimes you're just like, it's time to go, and you let go, and it just falls, and everything flows. And other times it's like, no! And it depends. And it depends where you are, depends how the letting go is happening. Is it coming from someplace else? Is it coming from you? Is it coming from God? Or is it coming from just, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to make change? It depends where that change is arising from. So we all have our own process of where we are in the journey of change. And so I'm sharing all of this to say that have been in my own process of change. And I think for people who've been coming fairly regularly have heard some of that. And one of the things I have shared in the last few months was this presence, this visual holder, this presence that's been very clear. It's time to move out of CSL. I've shared that. And the thing that I learned is that it doesn't go away if I ignore it. It's there. And what I learned, what I finally got, it took me a while to get because I don't think I wanted to get it, but it finally got that this was the call for me and not for the whole community. This was Spirit's way for me to evolve and change. And I know you all know that. I'm sure so how many here, because I know there's, I got to tell you, I heard this word yesterday called gigonomics or gig economy. Has anyone ever heard of that? You have? I never heard of that. I just heard that. And then they're saying that young people do a gig economy, that they don't have like one job that lasts forever. They go from here and they have multiple jobs and they have this side thing and that side thing. And I go, that's not how I've lived my life. And I'm sure since for some of us older folks, many of you have not lived your life that way too. You have a career, a job, and you stick with it for years, right? How many people are doing today what you were doing 30 years ago? Well, not a lot. Well, I've done a lot, I guess. So I guess I don't let go. So I've been in New Thought for 35 years, and I've been working in churches now, New Thought churches for 29 years, and a minister for 26 years. So this thought of, it's not even a thought, it's just this constant pushing. It's time to move outside of your comfort zone. It's time to move. And I recognize that every one of my friends that I'm close to, other than the moms that I met raising Julian, are all in CSL. Like, this has been my life for so many years, for decades. And I think it's taken me so long to hear it because it's all I know. But then when I started pushing a little bit, and they're like, no, this is not for the community, this is for you, Harriet. And when I got that, first it was just a blank. And then this is for me. Listening to that divine presence, always listening, going into that divine presence. This is for me. And from that place, and actually I do have a friend that's not in CSL. And they had said some things to me. I'm like, oh. But I'm on my own. Nope, I'm not doing this because of any conversation, just that conversation with the divine. It's time. And I made that decision. So the decision that I made is that it is time for me to step away from being the minister here, not immediately. For a few months I'm here because change does not have to be abrupt, hurtful, or difficult. Spirit moves fast, soul takes a while. So I'm here, but I have made the clear decision in my heart and my soul and my being, and I did not come to this lightly. It's taken me a long time to get to this place, but it is time for me to move forward. There's a power of letting go consciously. My first husband and I, when we got clear it was time for us to divorce, and it was my first. I've been married twice, but prior to that, he had been married a few times before me. So this wasn't his first road down divorce, and his comment to me is, "Nope, never doing that again. I'm done." But we did everything consciously, in so much love. We talked all about it, the whole process, our whole relationship, before we got married. And so what we did for our divorce, we did a divorce ceremony, and we included our marriage ceremony in our divorce ceremony. And we did everything sort of in reverse. And so we stepped into this circle of roses, and we said similar things, and then we took our wedding rings off and handed them to each other. We're just crying, And feeling so much love for one each other, because it's an interesting thing to know, to feel that much love and know it's still time to separate. Stepped out of the circle, went on a long walk, and I drove away the next day. And it was beautiful. There was still grief to happen, but we both knew it was the right decision. And because we did it so fully and so completely in that letting go process, 3 months later, he calls me, because we stayed in contact, we're great friends. He said, "I've just met somebody at a musical festival. She's great." I'm like, wait a minute, it's only been 3 months. He's with her today. He's been together for 25 years. And we'd be friends. Jack and I went down to visit them when they were in Fresno, and they've come up here. We saw them when we were at Oakland. Because the letting go was so fully realized. Neither one of us were holding on to anything, and we just stayed anchored in that ever-present love. And so I'm offering that. And what that did, by the way, my point with that is it creates space for new life. When we fully let go of something from a place of conscious love and really let it go, it creates the space for something from spirit to move through us. Now we're not creating from fear or I'm afraid of being alone or anything like that. He had no fear of being alone. I had no fear of being alone. I met Jack a year later, but we created space for this new life because we never stopped being in love. So as we're going through this change as a community, it is my hope that we do it with as much love as possible because we love this community. And when I say we, in talking this with Jack around this, he also said that he'll be leaving too. That for him, this community is very much about us being together, and he would have a hard time coming and me not being here. So he'll be leaving too. But new life does happen. And so there's two aspects of that. One, for myself personally, that because I've been through this process, been struggling with it for so long, and for those of you who know me know I've been struggling with this for quite some time. Once I finally got to that fullness of that decision of letting go, this is done, it's complete, and it was just an inner clarity. I happened to be at Kaiser with Jack because he had a colonoscopy, and I thought, I'll talk to the spiritual director here. I'm just confused about chaplaincy. I've gotten so much different advice about it, and so I thought, well, I'll just go now I'm here, I'll just get advice about chaplaincy. And I ended up talking to the spiritual director, and we had this 20-minute incredible conversation from the moment he started speaking and said, well, I'm a UCC minister. I'm like, that's what I was raised in. And everything just fit. And even at the end, he's like, I never meet with people before they apply, but this has been great. But the application's due next week. So I did apply. This was way back in February. Then all sorts of things happened in his life. So the interview couldn't happen. It got kind of pushed. So I'm in this waiting place. Like at first it's like, oh, this is such a divine, and then it's waiting. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say anything to the community until I know the answer. But then, because this was taking a very long time, I hit it. I'm like, oh, Spirit wants me to know He's not my source. That job is not my source. God is my source. And when I let go, I knew that. I stood in that. God is my source. I had no idea what was next, but I knew God was my source. And I'm like, oh, I've forgotten that. So I had to go back to that. God is my source. I can share what my decision is without having any idea what's next for me. I've been doing this for 29 years in New Thought Church. I haven't had a lot of experience outside of the church. I don't know what I can do. And I don't know about this program. And then they're telling me about all these other chaplaincy programs, and my head's swimming. I'm like, there's a lot out there, but I really like the one you're talking about. So I made the decision last week I shared it with the prayer team, and I made the decision of how to move forward because I recognize I don't want to wait for that new life has already happened consciously, that right? That's what we know. Everything is in consciousness. And then just this past week, I got an interview on Tuesday, and on Wednesday I was accepted into their chaplaincy program. So it's a training, so I can learn chaplaincy. It's a year-long program, and it starts in September. It is full-time. So there is I can still, it depends on where the community is. If I'm wanted to speak during that time, I'm happy to. I'm here to be of service. When we get clear, just as when my first husband and I got clear, and we did the divorce ceremony, and we stood in that, new life happened for both of us in beautiful ways, and we stayed friends. It doesn't mean love is over. It just changes form. So as we're going through this process as a community, it takes time. It's taken me a long time. It takes time to be with the letting go. That's not a stage to skip over. And what that is between you and your vigil holder, this presence, because that's the most important place to go, is to God, to go to that divine presence. That's where the healing happens and the new life happens, and all the prayer and the conversations are there to support the absolute being heard through form, but the absolute is the place. But as we go through this together, that may we do it in love from the absolute. May you be gentle and tender with yourselves, conversations, prayer. We have our incredible prayer team who are here to support you, both in listening and in prayer. And new life is on the other side. We don't know what it is, just like I didn't know what it was. But when I was ready, it showed up. So we do have a town hall meeting next week. So the board, we have our board, and then Jerry and Cher from the beauty and love of their heart has said they're going to be advisors on their board. And so there's just an exploration of what's next. Obviously, we didn't want to do it today because it takes time sometimes to take some of this in. So talk to God first, foremost, and always. If with each other, pray, and then we'll come back next week. And after service, we'll just talk. I will be here to answer questions, but the board will be leading the conversation and listening to you. I think is the biggest intention is to see what's going on for you, because you're the community. You're the community. And we have a beautiful online community. We have a beautiful in-person community. You're solid. I think the last thing I want to say, and I'm wondering if Jack, you just come up, because we're going to go into prayer, so you can pray. One of the things, as Jack and I have talked about it is personal in that, we came together and started this community back in 2013, and this ministry wouldn't be here without this guy, and I know that. He's actually been here more Sundays than I've been here. He's so solid and he's so present. And he's talked a little bit of the grief that he's had, that this is coming to an end because it's brought us so much joy to be in service. And of course, Julian was 9 and they still like their parents at 9. So he was doing chairs, and we had a kids program because he had, it was a family thing. And as we were talking, what came to my mind was Gahil Gibran's saying about children. These aren't your children. These sons and daughters are life longing for itself. We might have been the initiators of the Lighthouse, but this isn't our community. It doesn't belong to us, and we want to be really clear that we know that. This is God's community. This is life longing for itself. This is the divine love that is longing for itself to come into creation. And there is, if it's that divine idea, it will be different, of course. But it will be always good, because spirit is ever evolving and becoming new and more of itself, more love, more joy, more peace through and as the community that's here. The prayer team is just so extraordinary. And, the people who served on the board and all the people who have given service over the years. I just saw Michelle, who sings every week and helps with the children. There's so many of you. Kathy, our minister, staff minister, just all the people that have made this. It's so extraordinary, and it's going to continue to be extraordinary. It may take some time to let go, but there is new space, and we are here holding that space, and at the same time always taking a little step back to create that space, because letting go is what is the thing that creates the space for the new to be birthed. So from that place, I'd like to go into prayer. Do you want to go play? Do you want to stay here? Or? Okay. Oh. So I'm just anchoring into Peggy, our vigil holder, that wonderful place of love that knows no conditions, of brilliance, of bliss, of peace, of wisdom. It is the source of who and what all of us are. And we just anchor in that awareness that this presence is absolute, always has been, always will be, untouched by the realm of creation. Untouched. It is absolutely being itself even now. There's nothing lost in this presence. There's nothing we have to find. It's all already been given. The beauty, the harmony, the connection, the love, it's all right here. And what a gift that we get to anchor in and recognize that this is the truth of each and every one of us. Each and every one of us is this extraordinary, divine, infinite light, birthless and deathless, absolute, unlimited love, unconditional love. We are that love. We breathe that in together as one. And from this oneness, we call forth the highest good for this beautiful Lighthouse community. That as we go and enter into the process of letting go, even in the letting go, there is that new life, those little sprouts of new ideas, new ways of seeing, new ways of hearing. And so we tenderly care for each other in that love, support one another, hear one another, pray with one another. And from this place of absolute unconditional love and letting the old go, letting the past go in gratitude, we allow the new to be birthed. We allow that space to happen so new life can happen in this extraordinary, miraculous way that blows all of our minds because it's so magnificent and so beautiful, pouring itself through and as each and every one of us. For even as we are experiencing this wonderful process of letting go in new life, we know it's happening all over the planet, all of the time. And we are a beacon of light going through this process, consciously, lovingly, supportingly, and in tender love and infinite joy. Just breathing that in deep and abiding gratitude, in surrender and absolute love, we let it be, as we say together as one, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, Jack.
I walk in God in all I do. I walk in God in all